Yes, this is a 240Hz 1440p laptop with an unlocked i7 and RTX 4060, and it comes in at $1,300. So I say without further ado, we take a look at it. Now what we have here today is the Medion Erazer Defender P40. Now this is basically a custom laptop by Erazer, which is the gaming lineup for the Medion brand. It's a European brand, and these laptops are custom-made laptops built on a Clevo base. Now what is a Clevo base? Is basically, Clevo is a massive brand that does like custom laptops with desktop chips in them as well, and so they sell to OEM basically packages that they can customize and make their own with their own softwares, etc. And so this is exactly what Erazer have done in this one. Now Erazer is a brand new brand, it has not been around for much, but they have some very cool stuff. I was actually at Luca Comics at one of their conventions last year, and they had like a massive laptop. You might have seen it on the channel, but that's just to introduce the brand. Now let's actually speak about this laptop over here. Now it has an i7 13700HX, which goes all the way up to 5 GHz, and it has 8 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, plus hyper threading on the performance core, for a total of 24 threads. Now it is based on the Raptor Lake architecture, but this CPU is basically the same as an i9 12900HK. Now being an HK chip, it is unlocked, so you can actually undervolt it and even overclock it. I will have a full undervolting tutorial both for the CPU and for the GPU of this laptop. Now, rest of the specs. Something interesting is the way they present the laptop. So usually if you look at the specs printed on the laptop, like on an Asus laptop, they just say like great audio, good screen, but here they tell you like the wattage of the GPU. So it's a laptop for tech guys. And this will be the trend continuing on with the review. So this is not a laptop for somebody who is not very used to laptops, and it's not a laptop for somebody that just want to browse internet. If you just want to do that, this is not the right laptop for you because of your characteristics that we will talk about later. However, if you want to just play games most of the time or just do video editing, then it's a great laptop for you. Now again, written there, it is 140 watts of TGP on the GPU, Nahimic audio, and all the specs, sure. But how does it perform and how is the thermals? Well, with the new frame gen technology, you can actually play most games at max settings at 4040p with the RTX 4060 with the LSS enabled. If you play native, on heavy titles, you won't be able to reach the 240, to be honest. For example, on Apex, Call of Duty, you really don't reach 240 at 4040p. You'd have to drop that to 1080p, but you can still get the smoothness of 240, so you can play with a controller on the go and actually be competitive because the screen is pretty big. It's a 17-inch screen and it's a pretty big laptop overall, coming in at close to 3 kilos. Here we are talking about the first issue, so it's not really an issue, but it's not really a small laptop, so you have to buy it as a desktop replacement. It's good, you can travel around, it is convenient to travel around, but it's not good to like go to university to. I mean, you can, but it's not ideal. The battery life is actually surprisingly good, and it can back up more office workloads. So in my testing, this did me 5 hours of just browsing the internet. So I'm really happy. It's honestly good for the category. It's because it's a big laptop. Now the battery itself, it's screwed to the actual chassis. It's not glued there. And speaking about more hardware configuration, this has 16 gigabytes of DDR5 in there, 4800 megahertz. Both slots are occupied, but you can expand it to 32 if you want. Then it has a 1 terabyte NvMe drive, which has a thermal pad and connects to the base so it doesn't overheat. And it also has a free slot for an NvMe drive, which is also good. Now the cooling system is basically the same for CPU and GPU, and we actually even have a cold plate for the North Bridge, which is something I, as tech enthusiast, appreciate quite a lot. However, here begin the issues as well. Now this is a laptop that cools very well, I'm not gonna lie. However, the i7 is very power hungry and the temperature goes up high. So it does throttle a bit, you should undervolt it honestly. Even the GPU, I do recommend you undervolt it, but if you're ready to tweak it, it's gonna be great. Now the CPU does deliver a very impressive score in CPU-Z, however it does throttle down after a while due to thermal issues. GPU as well is actually extremely good for a 4060 laptop, and that's thanks to the TDP and the massive cooling system. However, the laptop is noisy, so if you're gaming, it's not actually bad because you just put headphones on and it's not that noisy. But if you're just using it just normally, the fan just ramps up and then ramps down again randomly. This is a common issue with like Clevo-ish laptops, if it makes sense. So it is good, but you have to be mindful of that. Again, this is a laptop for someone who wants to work on it most of the time, not just browse, study, see documents. That's something you can do on the side, but not the main use case of the laptop. Now, it does come with a software in which you can control the backlight of the keyboard, which looks great, by the way. You can choose whatever you want. You can also map all the buttons. It does have an automatic overclock option inside the software from which you choose the profiles. I recommend you use it on quiet probably, because the noise while gaming is much lower, but if you want maximum performance, you can just put it to max and then just play around with the settings a bit. Again, you will have to play around with it for a little bit. Another very positive thing is this laptop does not come with bloatware. So a lot of laptops on this segment are packed full of programs you don't need. In this one, that's not the case. You just get the laptop, the control center, and the bare minimum. The only bloatware it has is a McAfee antivirus. Now, a lot of people use it, so that can also be useful, I guess, or you can just uninstall it, but it's just one, so it's not too bad. Let's now talk about the chassis, the build quality, and honestly my impression and what I think about it, because we have pretty much exhausted the specs. So it has a plastic chassis, but it's very good. Honestly, it rivals with many aluminum chassis out there, while being lighter, because yes, it weighs 3 kg, yes, it's a big laptop, but it does so while still being relatively slim by design, and it looks nice and feels definitely premium. When I opened it up, I genuinely couldn't believe it was so cheap, being completely honest. It's a good laptop. The screen is massive, the viewing angles are great. I tested it outside as well, and you can see the screen right. All in all, for gaming, this screen is amazing. For video editing, it's good. For photo editing, it's good. I can definitely recommend the laptop, to be honest, but you have to be mindful of the weight, the noise issue, and the fact that you will have to tune it a bit, I think, to make it run the smoothest. Also, the connectivity is good, but it's not insane. We have just 2 USB 3 and then we have 2 USB-C. It also supports Thunderbolt, but it doesn't have the massive connectivity of other laptops. However, it does also have a micro SD card reader, which is useful, and the power brick is on the back, which I like. All in all, this laptop has my approval. I like it for the price, honestly. It's something different from the competitor, like from the Lenovo Legion Pro, the Asus Zephyrus, and like from all the competitors out there. I think this doesn't compete directly, because it's definitely different. It's for somebody who wants a desktop replacement and wants a gaming machine. They don't want like a laptop hybrid that can do it all. They want a nice gaming machine with good battery life, good performance, good feeling, big, and I think this is the best in the category. Oh, and I am extremely excited to see what Erazer will bring us in the future. This is definitely a good laptop, and honestly, it just feels nice to have a new player in the game. So I can definitely recommend it, and I hope this quick review was helpful, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.